Also introduced in the Warmind DLC, the Titan exotic gauntlets, the Wormgod Caress, are another exotic obtained by completing the Warmind DLC's campaign as a Titan. The exotic perk, Burning Fists, states that melee kills increase melee damage for a period of time, and additional kills extend the duration and increase effects. Just from reading the description, this exotic has very similar properties to the Warlock exotic gauntlets, the Winter's Guile, where getting melee kills will also increase your damage. So let's take the Wormgod Caress out into a patrol, and see what kind of damage and duration it has on melee attacks. From some simple testing, we can see that getting a melee kill will start the Burning Fists timer on the side of your screen, and any further melee kills will increase the stack count up to a maximum of 5, and adds more time onto the counter. The timing system works quite similarly with the Warlock exotic helmet, the Verity's Brow, where consecutive melee kills will add smaller and smaller time intervals the longer you can keep your streak alive. So actually looking at the timer, the first melee kill will start a 5-second timer. The second melee kill grants you about 6 additional seconds. The third kill adds about 4 seconds, then 3 seconds, and so on. I'd say the best way to take advantage of this system is just try to get as many melee kills as quickly as possible. So don't try to do any time management, or space your melee kills. The faster you kill, the more time you'll have. Simple. The damage increase you get on melee kills is also much more simple. Every melee kill will increase your base melee damage by 30%. By the time you reach your maximum stack count of 5, you will be dealing about 2.5 times your base melee attack. Pretty good at taking out mages, and chipping away at some ultras. So this exotic is based solely on melee attacks, and requires us to chain melee kills together in quick succession. Since this exotic is subclass neutral, it is open for use on all 3 subclasses. In my experience though, 2 particular builds seem to work the best. The Code of the Protector tree in Sentinel works well with a melee-centric build. Melee kills will restore your health, and provide you with an overshield that will further increase your melee damage. A very solid build for a melee playstyle, probably equally as good as Code of the Protector, would be Code of the Juggernaut in the Striker skill tree. Melee kills will also heal you here, and will boost your melee damage and range by breaking shields and critically wounding enemies. Either of these builds will accommodate melee-focused combat, so let's consider the environments to use these builds. With the return of a lot of Hive enemies in the Warmind DLC, melee attacks are going to see plenty of use again, since Thralls and Hive Knights like to get up in your face to melee attack you. Simply punching a few Thralls or Acolytes can give you the bonus damage you'll need to one-shot a Knight. This works similarly well with other factions too. A few Dregs should let you one-shot a Captain, or a few Goblins for a Minotaur, etc. Probably the best place to use this build would be the Escalation Protocol events on Mars, where you're getting constantly harassed by Hive enemies. Outside of that though, most strikes and some raid encounters offer ideal scenarios for melee attacks. In the Crucible, I would probably stay away from these gauntlets. If you can get the melee boost to trigger and then chain more melee hits on enemies, then yes, these gauntlets are going to be pretty deadly against other Guardians. In my experience though, teams tend to stick up together in the D2 Crucible a lot, which would sound ideal if you intend to melee all of them, but rarely will their team let you get away with that. Ultimately, when it comes down to exotic gauntlets on a Titan, you have a choice between the Syntheseps and the Wormgod Caress. Both are great exotics, but if I was to classify them, I'd recommend using the Wormgod in PvE activities, but the Syntheseps in the Crucible. The bonus range of the Syntheseps is very hard to beat in PvP, but the simplicity and the flexibility of the Wormgod Caress is very hard to beat in PvE. In short, I would say that you should definitely try out the Wormgod Caress, see what you think of it, and since it is an exotic you receive for completing the Warmind campaign, every Titan should have access to it. Thanks for watching guys, I'll catch you on the next vid.